I'd now like to invite one of the patients to close this session. We've got Kevin Rodger, who's going to join us on the stage. Thank you.
Good morning, thank you. It's a huge honour to be asked to speak here today. Anyone that knows me or has worked with me will know that when it comes to presentations, I normally fly by the seat of my pants and I massively overrun. So today, I'm going to rely on written notes, A, to make sure I say everything that I want to say and need to say, and B, that I stick to time and don't get the dreaded buzzer. It's likely also that I'll break the technology as we go along, but we'll see how we go. When I first received my diagnosis, it was the stories of others. That gave me and my family hope. Hearing how others faced their own challenges and confronted them reminded us that we weren't alone and that anything was possible. In sharing my story today, I hope that I can offer that same lifeline to someone else who might need it in the future. Living with cholangiocarcinoma is a roller coaster with ups and downs, twists and turns. There are moments of joys when things go well, and crushing disappointments when they don't. A cholangiocarcinoma diagnosis steals your health, your plans, and most importantly, your future. It makes once guaranteed moments, your children's graduations, their weddings, having grandchildren, and celebrating milestone anniversaries with my wife, feel lost and unreachable. But perhaps its cruelest theft isn't mine. It's what cancer has taken from my family and the loved ones who have to face a future without me. Cancer hasn't just robbed me of future moments, it's stolen theirs too. Still, cancer can't take everything. It hasn't touched my determination, resilience, optimism, or the love that surrounds me, and it never will. I first heard the word suspected cholangiocarcinoma in March 2022, a word I couldn't even pronounce, let alone spell, and I think I'm just about got there now. It came over the phone from a GP following a series of scans. My symptoms had been mild. Fatigue and a dull ache in my right shoulder. I put it down to being, well, massively unfit, if I'm honest. But then came exhaustion, night sweats, and a relentless full-body itch. Blood tests showed abnormal liver function, and soon after I became jaundice. After that call from my GP, I fell apart. Like many, I turned to Google and was met with terrifying statistics and grim outcomes. I pinned all my hopes on surgery. A few weeks later, my diagnosis was confirmed: parahylia cholangiocarcinoma with vascular involvement. Will I see my children grow up? We asked. The look on the doctor's face said it all. I wasn't given a treatment plan, just a hand-drawn liver sketch with an X marking the tumour and a referral for further tests. Passing shot, you have the worst type of cancer in the worst possible place. No brochure, no guidance, no little pin badge, no support network. I felt lost and unsupported. Thankfully, a clinical nurse specialist handed me a printout from the AMMF website. That small gesture became a lifeline, and AMMF was to give me clarity, support, and a real sense of direction. Soon after, I was told that my cancer was inoperable. A PTC procedure was planned to insert a bile drain and collect a biopsy. I simply wasn't prepared to accept that as a solution. So with AMMF's help, I sought second opinions across the UK and abroad, but the verdict was always the same. Around the same time, I had my first consultation with Professor Bridgewater. That introduction would change the course of my treatment and ultimately my life. Without his expertise and that of his team, I doubt very much that I would be here speaking to you today. A month later, I had the PTC. A drain was inserted with almost no sedation. It was a traumatic experience. What followed were 2 mentally exhausting months of drinking my own bile. The biopsy was inconclusive, so an EUS was performed. Again, with minimal sedation. This time, the results confirmed adenocarcinoma. Genetic testing found no mutations. By now, more than 6 weeks had passed, and I'd spent 17 days in hospital. I still hadn't seen an oncologist or discussed any treatment options. Replacing the external drain with stents was mentioned, but considered highly risky. It felt like the doctors had already given up on me. I needed more than that, and I needed a team willing to fight with me, a team offering expertise, options, and above all, hope. So I took control myself and requested a transfer to UCLH. Immediately after my transfer, biliary stents were successfully inserted, improving my liver function and, most importantly, lifting my spirits. The one time through this whole process I've cried was waking up and hearing that they've actually put stents in successfully. A blood biopsy followed, but again, no mutations were found. I set my sights on the ABC7 trial. It felt like a fresh chance, but unfortunately, my liver function wasn't strong enough to qualify. With that trial off the table, I turned to the standard chemotherapy pathway of GemCis. Fortunately, I tolerated the treatment extremely well, and the tumour shrank significantly. This opened up the possibility of surgery. So what once felt impossible was suddenly within reach. In April 2023, surgery was attempted. It was a moment filled with hope, but during the operation, arterial involvement made it too difficult to continue, and the surgery was abandoned. Suffice to say, it was a devastating setback for me and my family. But the cancer remained stable, and that stability gave me strength. After recovery, I went through 15 grueling days of radiotherapy, the toughest treatment yet. The cancer stayed stable for the next 12 months. During that year, life more or less returned to normal, and despite occasional hospital stays for sepsis, infections, and blocked stents, I was more or less fine. In August 2024, that stability ended. The cancer had begun to progress, and I made the decision to take early retirement from work, an incredibly difficult decision that deeply impacted my sense of identity. However, the cancer's progression gave us an opportunity for yet more biopsies, and this time it found that I had high microsatellite instability and DNA mismatch repair deficiency, a rare condition in cholangiocarcinoma that leads to unchecked DNA errors, as we heard yesterday. I don't resent the fact that it took so long for us to discover this. In many ways, it's a miracle that I survived long enough for it to be found. Since starting pembrolizumab, a treatment specifically targeted at my condition, I've made real progress. Scans show significant tumour reduction, no new disease, and my metastases have disappeared. So maybe, just maybe, we can start planning for the future again. Or maybe the roller coaster will simply continue. We don't know. But I do know one thing for sure. I'm lucky to live in the UK, I'm lucky to have the NHS, and I'm lucky to have been helped by brilliant medical professionals like you all in the room. And most of all, I'm lucky to have a loving family, a family that stood by me, lifted me up, and loved me unconditionally throughout every single step of my journey. In closing, I'd like to leave you with a few thoughts from my journey. For medical professionals, ensure patients are not only given a diagnosis, but also a clear roadmap for their next steps. Be proactive in supporting second opinions. Don't take them to affront to your expertise. And ensure molecular profiling and genetic testing are completed early in the treatment process. To the government, we need more funding for research, faster access to treatments, and a more streamlined path to clinical trials and centres of expertise. To my fellow patients, don't be afraid to ask questions, no matter how silly they may seem to you. If you feel uncertain or your treatment options feel limited, always ask for a second or third opinion. Reach out to patient support groups, and most importantly, hold on to hope. Thank you for listening.